Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of Pardon Our Picks, where perfection is a work in progress. I'm your host, Sam, and as always, with me is our esteemed co-host, Tarik. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm back. I missed a week, but I am back with you, my friend and my co-host, Sam. How are you tonight?
I'm doing good. It's good to see you. Good to have you back. We understand why you weren't here, and well, just wasn't the same without you, buddy.
I appreciate the feels. The feels.
Speaking of feels, my sister's on with us.
I don't know if that's a good segue or bad. It sounds wrong.
I'm sure she feels some way about me.
There's a lot less feels on this side.
How you doing tonight, Jess?
I'm doing pretty good. I had a pretty awesome day. Ate a lot of chocolate. Played some games, went shopping. So
Sounds like a pretty good day.
It was.
Yeah, it's better than my day getting up at 5 a.m, working all day.
I mean, I know the feeling, of course. But that's neither here nor there, because right now we're talking about Pardon Our Picks, where perfection is a work in progress. It's brought to you by MorningwoodCrafter.com. Morningwood Crafter, powered by design, crafted by hand, and Into Deep Band, playing at Caddy's in Bethesda on November 27th. Check them out. It's going to be a great show, guys. Speaking of great shows, there were a couple of really big bounce back blowouts last week, with Buffalo absolutely demolishing whoever they played last week that I can't remember off the top of my head, the Jets.
Jets, yeah.
And that's why it's a work in progress.
Indeed. And the Cowboys absolutely slamming the Falcons.
That's probably a little bit more impressive than the Buffalo Jets pounding, but just a little bit.
I wouldn't disagree with you there. Considering at least Atlanta was in playoff contention at the time, still kind of is.
There was also the Green Bay Seattle game.
Oh yeah,
Green Bay pretty much pulverized Seattle. They looked horrible.
Yeah, what was your biggest surprise last week, guys?
Biggest surprise for me, I want to say, San Francisco probably.
Yeah, I was about to say that one. That one was a big one. I wasn't expecting the Chargers. I wasn't expecting the Vikings to come in and take the Chargers like that.
Yeah, I think it's been exposed at this point that the Chargers' offensive line is just way too young and just way too bad. So they have to find a way to work around that as best they can.
What about the Bucks? What about the Tom Brady's?
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Losing to the
Washington
Redskins
football team. It's crazy. Or the fact that the Cardinals, even without a quarterback and top receiver, are still winning by big numbers.
The Cardinals?
Yeah, they're without Kyler Murray and Hopkins.
Didn't they lose to Carolina?
No, they beat Carolina 34-10.
Oh my God. Okay, I don't know what I was talking about.
It was a pretty bad week for all of us last week, or most of us anyway. We'll get to that later.
Yeah, were you the only one that did well, Sam?
Oh God, no.
Arizona already showed that they could win without Hopkins and Murray, and they could blow a team out like that. So
they did, yes.
That shouldn't be as surprising.
But then you got teams like the Chiefs who, 41-14 over the Raiders, who were leading the division at one point. Or turmoil may have played a part in that too, but the Chiefs may be righting the ship.
Yeah, and I think that's what everybody now is kind of like sighing a little bit of relief, like there they are kind of thing, but I don't think people should jump to any conclusions based on that game.
No, because we talk about last week, not this just past week, I guess 2 weeks ago, the Broncos decimated Dallas. And then they went right back to form and got completely decimated this week. So it's...
Yeah, this season is insane.
Yeah.
It seems.
Well, it's weird. Certain teams, they don't match up well, even if it's a bad team, with certain schemes, which I think Dallas's problem was, Dak was coming off an injury, but and it could have been multiple other issues. There was no semblance of holding on to the ball at all against the Denver Broncos that week. which, I mean, was one of the reasons why they went and destroyed Atlanta last week, because they were able to get those turnovers and get that turnover margin up. So,
but yeah, this year, just out of any year I can remember watching football, just we're getting just complete flips week to week. Like, I mean, that we just listed game after game after game after game. We didn't have to look for it. We just looked and went, almost every single game was an upset.
Right. Like, you've got teams that have very few wins, beating teams that are thought to be going to the Super Bowl. Every other week it's happening. It's just
absolutely
crazy.
Well, speaking of upsets, let's take a look at the standings from last week and see how everybody did.
See how upset we get.
Oh, good God, look at that horrible, horrible week. Brady, the only one over 500 last week, at an 8-6 record, is climbing the charts. He's only one behind me in the lead. Jessica, of course, right behind him. Tarik, still pretty close to them. It's a pretty exciting week for everybody. Of course, Brian he's struggling a little bit in the midway point.
And then my poor brother.
Your poor brother. Unfortunately, at some point they're going to pick it up. I'm sure they will. It's just one of those things. But let's get on to the games of the week. We're going to start with Jessica. What was your game of the week?
The coming week?
This upcoming week, yes.
This upcoming week, I'm pretty excited about the Washington football team in Carolina. I'm a little less excited now that I realize that Carolina didn't win this week. But from what I saw, at least all the highlights, and I watched a little bit of it, obviously not the entire thing.
Oh, you know what? You are absolutely right. Carolina did demolish the Cardinals. I am so sorry. Wow. My head is just...
So, yes. So the Carolina game over Arizona was a big one. And the Patriots, or not the Patriots, sorry, the Buccaneers losing was another one. So those two teams end up playing each other this week. Washington beat the Bucs and Carolina beat Arizona. So now Carolina gets to play against Ron Rivera and with the Washington football team. So I'm kind of excited to see how that goes this week. I'm taking Carolina by 1. Cam is back, and he made that pretty clear. So I think that energy is just at an all-time high right now. They really needed that. It seems like he's fitting right back in. As long as he gets up to speed with their offense, what he needs to know, and doesn't just take it as, this has been his team, nothing he needs to worry himself about. But he's a dual threat, and the Washington football team's offense is really kind of a hodgepodge and a little bit messy. And their defense is a little overhyped, in my opinion. So I think this is going to kind of show their true colors when they try to stop Carolina this week. So I'm taking Carolina, but it's going to be a closer game. I'm taking them by 1.
I actually agree. I'm taking Carolina. Carolina is one of those teams that I always kind of want to root for. I hope they do well, and then they kind of just go in one direction or the other. I mean, it's looking at their record, that's exactly what they show. They're 5-5. They're at 500. So this is going to be interesting. I think Washington's win over the Bucs was, I mean, it's just one of those flukes from last week. Is that indicative of their season? I don't think so. They got a losing record. These teams are going back and forth every week. So, but I think I'm pretty much just mimicking everything Jessica just said. I think Carolina's going to do it. I think Washington's going to have a little bit of steam rolling from last week, but I don't think they're going to be able to pull it out. So, again, I'm going with Carolina.
What's funny is the NFC East, all the teams that played last week won. Just weird considering they're not a very good conference. And of course, the Giants did not play last week.
Won and had some major upsets.
Yeah, exactly. Philly over the Chargers, Washington over the Tampa Bays, the Cowboys destroying the Atlanta Falcons. There was actually a storyline there too, because Dan Quinn was the coach of the Atlanta Falcons. He's now the defensive coordinator in Dallas. But we're talking about the Washington game. considering what's funny is Ron Rivera was the coach there when Cam Newton was there.
Mhm.
And the only thing that is still there from the Ron Rivera era that I can think of is the logo. The owner is different. The coaches are different. Everything's different. Jerry Richardson was the owner. He was booted because of uncouth activities. But just
it does make you wonder, like, is this going to be a happy reunion between the two? Is there some bad blood between Cam Newton and Ron Rivera?
I don't think there is going to be bad blood between Ron Rivera and Cam Newton. I believe, and frankly, I think Ron Rivera left just before Cam did. Or they left at the same year or something like that. Because Ron Rivera was out 2 years ago. Now he's Washington coach, and so was Cam.
Yeah.
So I think they left at the same time. So I don't think there'd be any bad blood between them. However, I'm not 100% sure that Cam Newton's going to be starting this game. He didn't start last game. He played, but their other quarterback played most of the game. He only threw like 4 or 5 passes. And it might have been early. You know what? It was early. They scored 2 touchdowns early, and they kind of benched him after that. PJ Fleck, I want to say, was the other quarterback. But given the defense of the Carolina Panthers going against that offense of the Washington team, it's going to be a very exciting game. I'm glad Jessica picked this one as her game of the week because I think it's actually going to be interesting. But I got Carolina winning it in a close one as well, so should be a fun one, guys.
All right.
Let's move on to the next game. Tarik, what's your game of the week?
My game of the week is Dallas and Kansas City. I think this is going to be interesting. We got Dallas that's pretty on point, more on point than I can say they've been in years in recent memory. You got Kansas City being dethroned. They're looking vulnerable. They're looking mortal. They're not hitting on all cylinders like they used to. You got Patrick Mahomes' fiance and brother causing mischief and hijinks and stuff on the sideline. And then you got Dallas that, aside from like what are the 2 losses? One's against Tom Brady that they should have won.
Yep.
And the other's against Denver that they should have won but didn't show up for. So I guess on paper they should be lossless. They should be undefeated here. So this is going to be you worded it really well, Sam, in our conversation outside of this. Like, this answers a lot of questions. Is Dallas all they're cracked up to be? Are they showing signs of something that we haven't seen since the 90s? Is Kansas City going to bounce back? Are they going to do something we've seen them dominating for the last 2 seasons? So my theory is Dallas is going to win this, going to keep pounding the Chiefs. It's maybe the new Cowboys and Indians rivalry, since we can't call the Redskins anymore. So we're going with the Chiefs now. So I got Dallas winning this, not by a lot, maybe a touchdown, maybe 2, but I got Dallas in this.
Oh, Jesus. Why am I like I think this game is going to be probably the most exciting this week. After watching Dallas play, when they're on point, they are an extremely well-rounded team. I would even say potentially the best team in the NFL. Their offense is phenomenal. They have so many weapons, and their defense actually plays pretty well. So their offensive line is, when everybody's healthy, Dak Prescott has lots of time to throw the ball to a number of weapons that he's got. So they have a strong run game, strong pass game. Their catches look incredible. Dallas's defense last week got to Matt Ryan several times. So, and then they had that blocked field goal for the touchdown. It's just, they were on fire last week. I don't necessarily think they're going to look like that. But going up against Kansas City, whose offense can be on fire, but their defense is junk. Dallas is going to outplay Kansas City. As much as I would love the story of the comeback of Kansas City this week, they're, after last week, they're still on fire and all, but I think they're going to play well, but not well enough to beat Dallas. This is a tough contender for them. Dallas will go 8-2 this week.
Sam, I saw your beard just bristle and grow as your sister was praising your team. You just kind of like the Grinch effect. Just
It was a little surprising, considering Dallas really has not been a good team in recent years. I mean, they haven't been the top echelon team that we've seen this year. The defense has been horrible for the past couple of years. And you're right, Jess, that defense has looked a lot better than it has before. And Kansas City with that offense is just, they came on really strong last week. I think they got a lot of their frustrations out last week playing whoever they played last week.
Raiders.
The Raiders. Okay, I was right. I was going to say the Raiders. And I stopped myself. I should never do that. Don't second guess myself. I didn't this week. Didn't second guess myself. But I think this is going to be a really high scoring game. Both teams are going to put points up. Dallas is going to try to get to the quarterback, but I think Mahomes just needed a little bit of time, I think, this year to adjust to the fact that he has no good tackles. I believe that Dallas will win this game, but I think their scores are going to be flirting with the 40s each. So Dallas in a close one, folks.
Agreed.
All right, let's move on to the next game. We have the 5-5 Indianapolis Colts. Not doing too bad in their own division, going against those Buffalo Bills. Also had a bounce back week this week. They are only one game over New England currently in the AFC East, and I don't think anybody really saw that coming. The disparity between those.
Didn't you pick them as your sleeper team?
No, I picked the Jets.
No.
How'd that work out for you?
You win some, you lose some, and in my case, it was pretty terrible. But went out on a limb with that one. That was going to be my 7th seed. But my other dark horse team was Miami, who could still be a sleeper.
I guess there is still time.
Yeah, and they've been playing better as of late. But we're talking about the Colts and the Buffalo Bills. And Buffalo did put a big one up last week. And the Colts have looked better and better. They have the number 1 rushing offense in the league right now, mainly because Derrick Henry's out. It only took a couple weeks for everybody to catch him. But the Colts offense, they've never really had a running game there that's been as explosive as it is now. Edgerrin James is the last one I can think that had any type of explosion behind that line.
Yeah, they tried to do something with Dominic Rhodes and Joseph Adai, but they really couldn't. They didn't have the offensive line to allow them to do anything, and there hasn't been anybody of note since Adai left. So,
absolutely. Get it, and their defense has also looked more and more impressive. They're throwing the ball decently. Michael Pittman is pretty much their number 1 there, without a doubt. He's the guy that gets targeted most. Buffalo, however, other than the run game, which is really hit and miss, they're a pretty solid team as well. In Buffalo, outside in the weather, I got Buffalo winning this one, and I think it's going to come down to the last possession.
all right, Jess, what do you think?
I'm going to go ahead and agree with you on that. I don't know if I think it's going to come down to the last possession. I do think Buffalo is going to win, and I think it's going to be a close game. Indy is a pretty well-rounded team right now, but man, Buffalo can show up, and they're probably one of my favorite teams to watch offensively. Just seeing just Stephon Diggs alone, the grabs that he makes that no other receiver is making right now. I'm taking Buffalo. I'm definitely going to watch this one. I think it's going to be less than 7, but I don't think it'll be the last possession.
That's just because Stephon Diggs is on your fantasy team.
Man, I'm glad he is. But man, those catches this week, I know it was the Jets, but oh my God.
Gave him an opportunity to get a couple good catches in, get himself right.
All right, so I'm going with the upset on this. I went back and forth. I chose the Colts. I think it's gonna be like right there at the end. One of those just Buffalo's gonna come out starting. They've got all these weapons as you two said, very eloquently, I might add. But I think it's just gonna be one of those. If the trouble I have is Indy can't finish. So if they can figure that out, and that's kind of what I'm predicting, they're going to finish. But
Here they have pills for that.
I know, right? But Colts have been out front how many different games just to let it go like right there at the end. And I'm picking them mainly because if I have to pick something different to jump up in the rankings. And this is one of those that I think could just turn in my favor. And as we saw last week, anybody can win. I mean, the freaking Washington football team beat the Tom Brady and the Tom Brady's. So, I'm going with the Colts. Just I'm hoping for an upset here.
Seemed like there was a lot of tension with that pick.
It was.
Yeah.
It's not a bad upset to pick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go either way.
Absolutely. I concur, Jessica. They could absolutely go the other way with Indianapolis winning that one. So, all right, let's move on to the next game. We have the Sunday night contest. The Pittsburgh Steelers going into Los Angeles against those Chargers. Oh, man, who you guys got?
Well, I think both teams look kind of abysmal right now, and the Steelers almost lost to Detroit last week, which honestly, there have been some good teams that have almost lost to Detroit. So I can't take too much from them on that. But every game seems like it's a close game for the Steelers. The Chargers, I think they're going to work out some of their kinks this week. I think they have some stronger weapons and they need to figure out what to do with the offensive line. I'm taking the Chargers by 5 at least. They're going to break their losing streak. So Chargers.
I agree with everything just said. There's not really much I can add there. I was thinking the exact same thing. Steelers have not looked good. Chargers coming off a really bad week. But I have more faith in Chargers, as much as that hurts for me to like physically say. That I think they have a little bit more going for them than the Steelers do at this point. So I think they're going to be able to pull out.
And is Ben back? Is he back?
Ben should be back. He was only out for COVID.
Yeah.
So I think he should be back. But I'm going to say that I think the Chargers have more toys that they can play with on their side of the ball. On offense, Keenan Allen, and that quarterback, man, he's good. He's good.
Yep.
I guess that he can sling the ball. However, they have struggled quite a bit recently. And I think with Pittsburgh last week, they had Mason Rudolph in, and the Lions, they've only been blown out by really one team this year. And, with Mason Rudolph is horrible. But then again, Ben Roethlisberger isn't the biggest upgrade over Mason Rudolph.
Not at this age.
But that defense and the running game has been what has kept them in games this year. It's the reason why they're 5-3-1. God, I love ties. It's the funniest thing.
I wish they would do away with that. I really do. Just play until someone wins.
Well, they claim it's a safety issue. And
well, if they can do it in hockey, they can do it in football. Yeah. Just actually bring it down to the foot. All right. Hockey, what they do is they go down to a shootout. And then just get the kickers out, make them actually do some work. Just
I'm all for that.
Keep just bumping it back as far as you get, and then whoever misses first loses.
Obviously, Justin Tucker is a solid choice. So.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just the only reason I like the tie is who was it that said I didn't even know you could tie in football?
And a lot of people.
It just makes me laugh every single time.
NFL player this week said it.
2 of them
this
week said it. Yes.
2?
Oh, I'm talking about from like 10 years ago, but
How are they still?
Donovan McNibble.
Oh, was that? Oh, it was McNabb. Okay.
It was a McNibble quote. But yeah, there's been a lot of players over the years, usually rookies, younger players that'll say, I didn't even know you could tie, because in college you can't tie. They have rules in place to combat that, where they put you in the 25 and you have 4 downs to get into the end zone. And if you're still tied after like 2 or 3 overtimes, then you have to go for 2.
Yeah. So
do something, anything.
Yeah.
I watch hockey and I just watch the Caps do that in overtime. They go to a shootout. So I mean, it's.
And I'm okay with some of those options. I mean, ties that just they make the scenarios for the playoffs so weird.
Because it doesn't count as a win, but it doesn't count as a loss.
Yeah.
So it's just complicated.
Yeah. That being said, all that information thrown out there, I do have the Chargers bouncing back this week simply because, I mean, I can't see them, a team that good, losing again this week. I just can't see it happening again. So, but it could. I just don't think it will. All right, folks, let's move on to our quick hitters, and let's start with the Thursday night competition. The New England Patriots half a game back against those Atlanta Falcons. Who you got, Jess?
Oh God, this one's hard. I think I'm going with the Patriots by 3. But I will say they've only beat one team that's over 500. So this is their chance to prove. Actually, Atlanta's not even over 500, so never mind. They'll continue that.
Patriots.
I actually flip-flop on this one. I thought Atlanta might bounce back, but I got the Patriots too. It's going to be weird to say that they're 7-4 after this week. And let's move on to the next game. We have the Baltimore Ravens, not looking so hot as of late, going against a definitely not hot team, the Chicago Bears.
Bears are picking up steam, though, a little bit, but not enough. Ravens are going to win.
Let's see. Bears do eat birds, but no, I'm going with the Ravens.
Bears can't really get to birds unless they're already dead. And these Ravens aren't dead yet. I got the Ravens in this one. Let's move on to the next game. The tied up Lions going against the Cleveland Browns, who just have not had a good couple of weeks.
I'm excited to say I think it's going to be the Lions this week.
They're going to get their first win.
Oh.
We're going to be on Sports Center because Jess made the prediction. I don't think so. I'm going with Cleveland.
I got Cleveland bouncing back in this one, but it is going to be close like all the other Lions games. They just like to find ways to lose.
So does Cleveland.
True. At least they're a little better.
No one wants to win this game. It's going to be a repeat.
That would be weird if there was two ties in a row.
It's going to be 2 ties.
There has never been 2 ties in a row.
I hope it doesn't happen.
That I'm aware of.
No more.
So weird. All right, let's move on to the next.
Because the season isn't weird already.
True. Technically, the Lions are the only team right now one of 2 teams that could finish 500 for the season. Unless some other teams tie at any point. They're the only team. If they won the rest of their games, they would be 500.
Yeah, because the odd number of games, I guess.
Yep. Which I hope they go to 18 soon. Next couple of years.
Well, it makes me feel better because I've always had an issue with teams getting into the playoffs at 500. So now you have to either have a losing or a winning record.
Unless you tie.
And there goes Detroit just throwing a monkey wrench in my theories there.
And Pittsburgh, who could get in as the 7th seed at 8-8-1. Anywho, let's move on to the next team. They got the Houston Texans, 1-8. The only team that is just better than the Lions by 1 game, by half a game, really. And going against those Tennessee Titans.
Tennessee. By a lot.
I was half expecting Jess to pick the
No.
the second worst team. Tennessee.
Tennessee has their passing games gotten better, as I predicted it would. I got Tennessee. All right, let's move on to the next game. We have the Green Bay Packers going against those Vikings who won last week against the Chargers. What you got, Jess?
I'm going Green Bay this week, as long as everybody is playing.
I like it when I see Green Bay and Minnesota. Even I know they're division rivals, but it just makes me think back when with Brett Favre and all his shenanigans as he was heading out of the league. But I'm going with Green Bay on this one.
The Vikings looked halfway decent last week.
Mm-hmm.
The Green Bay Packers shut out the team they played last week. I got Green Bay in this one. It's going to be close, though. Let's move on to the next game. We have the Miami Dolphins going against those 2-7 New York Jets.
I think Zach Wilson might be back this week, but I think the Jets are the worst team, just about. Maybe Houston. I'm going with Miami. I don't care who their quarterback is. Miami.
Yeah, I'm going with Miami. I just can't pick the Jets,
especially after how they played Baltimore. So.
Well, I've got Miami winning this one, although that they may have a letdown game after that big game they played against Baltimore. We'll see. They got a good defense. So let's move on to the next game. We have the 5-4 Saints going against those 4-6 Eagles. Who you got, Jess?
I'm taking Sean Payton and the New Orleans Saints over the Eagles defense that I don't think will be able to stop them.
I agree. I was watching the Saints game last week, and they looked pretty good, and Trevor Siemian looking better than he looked when he was in Denver. So I'm going with New Orleans.
The Saints were kind of impressive last week playing Tennessee. The Eagles looked absolutely dominant over the Chargers, and it's going to be really hard for me to pick them. It really is, which is why I'm picking the Saints.
That's it. I mean, the Eagles quarterback does look very, very good. Hurts is looking pretty good.
He is so streaky that it's crazy. But I got Tennessee, not Tennessee, New Orleans, who played Tennessee last week. Got New Orleans winning this week.
Who do you got? New Orleans and Philadelphia, Tennessee.
Yeah, well, I wish they could both lose this week. Let's move on to the next game. We have the San Francisco 49ers off that big upset going against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
San Francisco, Deebo Samuel having another big game. He is just really good.
San Francisco.
The Jaguars haven't looked bad, actually, recently, the last couple of weeks. They've looked like the team that a lot of people thought that they could be at the beginning of the season. San Francisco has been pretty dominant in the past couple of weeks. Coming back from the abyss that they were in. I actually have San Francisco winning this one. I have it close, very close, in Jacksonville, of course. So San Francisco for the win. Let's move on to the next game. The Cincinnati Bengals going against those Las Vegas Raiders, 5-4 each.
Is Jamar Chase playing and Joe Burrow? Anybody?
I haven't heard otherwise.
Oh, this is tough. I'm going to say, let's see. Las Vegas just played.
Las Vegas played Chiefs and got absolutely manhandled.
Are you sure about that? Because you don't have a good track record tonight, Sam.
Yeah, it was 41-17 or something like that.
41-14.
41-14 place.
Yeah, and yeah, they looked pretty bad. I'm going to go with the Bengals. Maybe they're going to bounce back this week. They looked pretty bad, I think, the last week that they played. And they're coming off of a bye.
The Bengals?
Am I making stuff up now?
I mean, they might have.
Like your brother.
Yeah, they can. They're coming off a bye.
All right, I'm definitely taking the Bengals.
I'm going with the Raiders. I think they got a little bit. If they can get their stuff together, I think they're a little bit better. But it's going to be tough with the rested Tiger team. So, but I'm going with Las Vegas.
I mean, if you took a Pirate and put him up against a Bengal Tiger, technically either could win because the Pirate usually comes with a gun.
Yeah, he's going to have a blunderbuss.
Yeah. But you can only really shoot those once in a row. Tiger.
Sword, but yeah.
You what?
I was thinking a sword, but yeah.
Well, the sword too. Still.
And both.
Yeah. But anywho, I think that offense for the Bengals gets clicking again this week, and I think that they win this one. So Bengals for the victory. All right, we got the Cardinals at 8-2 going against the Seattle Seahawks, who can't seem to get their sea legs under them.
Is Kyler Murray back?
That's a good question. I don't think so. I haven't seen anything. But,
I still think I'm going to take the Cardinals over Seattle this week. Seattle just looks messy, and the Cardinals can win without Hopkins and Murray. So I think last week was kind of a fluke.
Yeah, I agree. Arizona.
Russell Wilson was coming off a broken finger last week going against Green Bay. And that's why I think that's a good reason why they got shut out. I don't think his finger is 100% yet.
He came back like 4 weeks early.
Yeah. And it showed. And I have the Cardinals winning this one in a lower scoring match. All right, let's move on. We have the Monday night game, our last game of the week. The New York Giants, fresh off a bye, going against those Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who you guys got?
Tampa Bay is not going to lose more than 2 in a row. It's going to be Tampa Bay.
No, I can't see it. I mean, I know last week was so weird with that loss, but I mean, as much as I despise the man, Tom Brady knows this game. He's going to figure out a way to come back from this. So I'm going with Tom Brady and the Tom Brady's.
When the Giants did win their last game, they played the Raiders 2 weeks ago, just before their bye.
Well, that means something then. That they beat the Raiders.
I mean, the Raiders were good at one point. Tampa Bay, however, I don't know what's going on with that offense. They just can't seem to get headed in the right direction. And I think it's going to be costly against a good defense like the Giants, but I still think they squeak out a win this week. I have Tampa Bay. All right, take us home, Jessica. Or Tarik.
How about Tarik? Wow, Tarik.
Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing. Make sure to leave us a like, leave a comment. Tell us who you think is going to win. Tell us any upsets. Give us any thoughts or theories. And make sure you subscribe so you know when we are doing things like posting new videos, because I know words and speak good too. As always, I'm Tarik.
I'm Jessica.
I'm Sam, and you have a great football week.
Bye, guys.